Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Dialogue Tree. This is episode 42. My name is Daniel Padilla, and as always, I am joined by my wonderful friend Matthew. Everybody betrayed me. I am fed up with this world. Peterson.
Hello.
What's good and new in your life, dude?
Well, first of all, we are not recording from our usual on-site Discord location due to some technical issues with our sound guy, Craig. So hopefully he gets his shit together and decides to work with Discord so we can go back to having Owen post stupid memes while we're recording.
Right. Yeah, we unfortunately have to record today from Craig's apartment, which is not the most appropriate, or I guess the nicest place to be recording out of. I will say it's a little dingy in here, a little smelly, but current circumstances, exactly, current circumstances do not allow us to take any liberties. So we have to make do with what we have.
Yeah, I'm doing good, dude. Yeah, I finished reading East of Eden.
It's really good. Damn, dude.
Well, yeah, I was on like page 400 or whatever when I told you should read it last week.
Shit,
so I mean, that's not. It took me like 3 weeks.
Yeah, right. It's just. I'm so intimidated by that novel that I'm just. Whenever anyone tells me they finished reading it, however long it took them, I'll just forever be impressed.
Yeah, it's definitely long, but I don't know. Once you just like start doing it every day, you'll just keep doing it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's quite good. I don't really have anything else more to say about it. I just thought I'd mention that I finished it.
Oh, very nice, man. Very nice.
Yeah.
You would recommend it?
Yeah, it's good. It just kind of like ends in the middle of the story, which is pretty cool because it's not really about anything in particular anyways.
Right.
Because like people will like be born and die, and like this story covers all these people's lifespans and like switches between all these characters. It's pretty like a sprawling narrative. So the fact that it just ends in the middle of it is pretty interesting, I think.
Right. That makes sense, man.
Yeah.
Very cool. Do you have any topics for today, dog?
One thing that I might as well talk about it now before I forget is the update on the Connecticut Republican primary.
Oh, shit, dude. Right, with the dude that was in prison or whatever?
Yeah, so as a refresher, if you didn't listen to last week, right? Yeah, last week. It was a very close race, and then the police came and arrested one of the candidates during the time of the polling for a suspicion of like domestic assault or domestic abuse.
Okay, that I did not remember.
The charges.
Sorry, I'm interrupting you. I did not remember that he had been arrested during the actual polling. I thought he'd been arrested like before.
Yeah. Because it was the story gets way deeper though. Because so now people are mad because they're like, I voted for this guy, and then you tell me like he like beats his wife or whatever like after I've cast my vote.
So okay, hold on. Right. So people were out there voting for him before they even saw the news that he was
winning. He was winning by like 1%, but he was winning.
Right.
And so then
people voting didn't yet know that he'd been like arrested,
or at least not everyone,
Not everyone, right? Gotcha. Damn, dude.
So then they demanded a recount. So recount was done, and now of course the opposition won.
Right.
But now it turns out that the other guy who did win had known about this for like a year now. He had the evidence. The wife or girlfriend or whoever was assaulted had come to the opponent and given him the evidence, and he had gone to the Republican like chapter head or whatever, and he was like, take this to the police or don't take it to me because it's not in my jurisdiction. So he just like dropped it. And then the day before the election, this guy comes out with the evidence, goes to the police, and gets his opposition arrested like the day before. What a political move. Like, what a scummy thing to do. Like, instead of just coming out with it, he doesn't give it time for like there to be another opponent. He just like uses it to guarantee his victory against this guy.
To guarantee his own win. Gotcha. Yeah.
It's just like a huge mess in the Republican Party because like no one's happy with either of the guys.
Right.
So now they're like, we need another recount because this guy is worse.
Because of what he did, and people weren't voting for him anyway to begin with, right? Like if the other dude's winning, that's for a reason, right? Like people don't want this guy, And so this other dude is still like in prison or whatever.
I don't know if he's been bailed or anything because they were reporting on the opponent, but I don't know if they're going to do another recount or what. But it definitely had way more of the story than I thought. That like this was out there for like a year.
Right.
And he just didn't do anything. He just sat on it.
Shit, dude. Yeah, that's awful. I'm sure this is not the end of the story, man. So I'm sure you'll probably most likely have
Yeah, I'm
additional
sure
details.
more things will come out as it
Right,
goes on. But
right.
that's where
So
we're at right now.
I guess you'll keep us at the edge of our seats until more details and further episodes are released.
The funny thing is, there's no way Connecticut doesn't elect the Democrats, so it
Right,
literally doesn't matter.
right.
But but like, just
Yeah,
for the sake of having a
democracy.
candidate, yeah, like having
Yeah,
a fair opponent.
right. Hey, dude, you know it's Thursday the 20th today at the time of the recording.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, dude. You know why I bring that up?
Why do you bring that up?
Because there's that image of there's that still from that Simpsons episode with some dude rapping, and he has like a big bling bling. Is that even a word that people use still? Like, is that even like the appropriate word to use for
The word bling singular is I've never heard bling bling really together or like
Oh,
unironically together. I mean,
am
people
I-
used to say it.
okay, right. So I'm not just making that up. Okay.
People say drip now, I think.
Okay, I've never heard that, I don't think. But okay, so anyway, what I mean to say is this rapper dude from the Simpsons episode, he has like this big chain or bling or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
That's Thursday the 20th. So that's why I think it was something worthy
That's
of
pretty good.
Yeah, something worthy of bringing up
Yeah.
on today's episode. Dude, I have a couple of things that I want to talk about. Dude, some
Okay,
very
good. 'Cause I
relevant
don't.
relevant things that might I might turn some listeners off because of how controversial these things are.
Okay.
Do you think you're ready for this conversation, dude?
Yeah, I mean, I have nothing else to talk about in my mind, at least.
Right. Okay. So, Breath of the Wild, we all know the game. We've all played it, right? Needless to say, I have not picked that game up since we last had that conversation with Spencer, whenever that was, back in like
That was like 3 months. Maybe
like
a little less, but
like
a
February,
long time
March,
ago.
or some shit, right?
Yeah.
So I haven't picked it up, but I have, because like I watch a lot of YouTube. I watch a lot of gaming YouTube, and Breath of the Wild is such a big game that like I'll often come across people playing the game. And something that I've noticed, and I think it might be a little bit why I'm sort of put off by it, and so there's a couple of things that I want to touch upon, right? A lot of things, of course, from the perspective of someone who's only put like a couple hours into the game, and other things that I have noticed from like watching other people play it for a lot longer. One of the things I have noticed, dude, is that what's the word that shrines?
The challenges,
right? Yeah, and those there's like 120 of those at least, I think. Right, just about
excluding DLC.
Excluding DLC, exactly right. What I've noticed, dude, is that they all, and you can correct me here, but from what I've noticed, they all look the same.
Oh, interior like palette
right.
or whatever.
The interior palette,
absolutely.
Interior design, right?
Yeah.
What do you think about that, dude? Because I think that honestly kind of puts me off, man. The fact that there's so many and that they all look the same, especially, you know what I mean? Because I'm the type of Zelda player. Granted, I haven't played a whole lot of Zelda games, right? Like I played Ocarina, and I've played the recent Switch one. What's it called? Link's Awakening, and I've played the 3DS one, A Link Between Worlds. So I'm used to that style of Zelda games where like every sort of like little temple thing is themed around something, right? So like I know Breath of the Wild has its own temples.
It is the beasts.
Right. Like I know it does have its own temples, but just the fact that there's so many shrines and the fact that they all look the same, because this is something that I started to think about even when I was still playing the game. And I did however many shrines I did, must have not have been that many, like 5 or 10, if that. But the first thing that I noticed is that they all look the same, and like I don't know, they were just not only do they look the same, but they're kind of unappealing to look at even, right? Because they're all just like a bland sort of like, grayish green sort of color palette, you know what I mean? And like there's nothing, like it's all just like a weird grid inside these shrines, right? Like everything just kind of looks like a grid. There's nothing visually interesting. I'm not sure if this changes later on at all, or
no.
what I mean? Right. Okay. Right. So what do you think about that, man? Like,
I mean, I guess I had noticed that, but I never thought much of it.
Right. It never put you off.
Yeah, I just distinguished the shrines by like the content of the mechanic that you have to do in there or whatever. And I'm like, oh, it's this one when you see the puzzle, not like based on anything visually.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Or at least I think they could have deemed it to the area, because I understand they have to like allocate resources and they can't all have a unique palette. But if like the desert had like sand in the shrines, or like falling
Right.
from the ceiling or something because you're
Yeah.
underground. That would be pretty interesting.
Yeah,
But you're right.
theme it around like the region where you find them, right? Maybe not like
Yeah.
theme every single one, but at least the ones that are like under one in one particular region, like theme it around that region. It doesn't even have to be that expansive, as you say, right? Just having some sand for the desert one, even I think
Yeah.
would go a long way
Would
to
go a
make it.
long way.
Yeah. So that's one of those things, right? One of the things that I noticed, like, all right, so that is one thing, and then the other, because I've been thinking about RPGs, right? Because with the news about Torchlight 3 being announced for the Switch, and me thinking about Torchlight 3 and also comparing it to Diablo 3, which is like kind of like. Anyways, I've been thinking a lot about RPGs, and I guess the other thing that I was kind of thinking about relating it to Breath of the Wild is, again, this is something coming from someone who strictly only played it for like 3 to 5 hours at most, right? But like, I feel like I run around in that world and like I see these enemies and whatever, just like when I'm walking from one point to the next like story objective point, there's going to be a lot of like land that I have to like walk on, right? And for the most part, it will look a little bit empty, but then there will be some enemies. But I feel like there's no even, at least so far, there hasn't even been a reason for me to really like engage with them, because one, they feel so far, in my experience, I've felt severely overpowered by these enemies. And like, I can engage with them and I can fight them, but like the most I'll get is like a fucking club, which will break the second I find another enemy later on. You know what I mean? So like, and again, a lot of these enemies just have like bows and they throw rocks at you. So like, even if I actively try to not engage with them, I can be running really far away from them, but they'll still find a way to like attack me, and like I'll just be like, ugh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll just get exhausted. Like, and I don't know if that's something that changes later on, if you just get gear that just will make you indeed feel more powerful in the way that an RPG kind of does, right? Because if you're playing an RPG, you're walking around these like huge terrains where like you'll be covered and swarmed in enemies, but like you'll legitimately constantly, the whole appeal of an RPG is that constant like reward, right? That you're getting better gear and you're getting stronger, and that you're going to feel how much stronger you're getting. That's just something that I'm not quite getting from Breath of the Wild so far, at least.
The thing is, besides the stats, nothing is a permanent upgrade, really. You can get like better armor, I guess, but pretty much you get a weapon and then you have like a power spike, but then it will eventually break, and then you're still just Link, which does kind of suck. But I always had too many weapons by the time I'd finish the game. Like I would find something powerful and I'd just be like, well, I guess I'll just throw this away. By the end of the game. And because I like did everything, kind of, not everything, but I felt compelled to do whatever I ran into. So I ended up like being massively overpowered, and the final boss sucked. It was so easy.
Okay. So I guess my follow-up question to that is, what does feeling massively overpowered mean? Like, does that mean that you just found a lot of like very strong weapons? Do you have like a lot of like the heart containers? What does that really mean?
Yeah, I had a lot of health because I wanted to get the Master Sword, so I had a lot of health. And then I just found out you can just hold down heavy attack with like the weapons that swing in a circle. Like there's like scimitars or whatever, and if you hold down attack, you just tornado until you run out of stamina. So you can just I just found out you can just walk into a guardian and hold the button down behind it, and it would become toppled, and then you just keep doing it until it's dead. And there was no like more tension with the guardians because I felt like they couldn't really kill me. And also I had a resurrection whenever I did die. So I never like really felt in danger by the end of the game.
Gotcha. Okay. I mean, okay. I think that. But do you think my thoughts here are like fair, dude? Like, do you think they're like valid at all?
Yeah, I think it's. There's no reason to fight enemies at the beginning of the game. You can't really use the crafting ingredients, and you won't get anything out of it. It's better to just actually run away. There's not really any reason to fight enemies ever.
Right, exactly. And I guess that's just kind of what put me off, right? I feel like I'm in this huge world, and like for the most part, it feels kind of, at least from what I've played so far, again, for the most part, it felt pretty empty, except for like those enemies that I literally felt overpowered by every time that I like faced them. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know. It just kind of put me off. And as you say, right? Like, yeah, fucking like. Link Between Worlds, that has like an overworld too, right? That you have to like traverse to get from temple to temple, and that is kind of full of like little enemies too. But you can just like, it's easier to avoid. Not only is it easier to avoid, but it's also not hard to beat those, right? Because like, you always have your own weapon, you'll always have like the sword that you have, the Master Sword, whatever you want to call it, and that'll never break. And like if you want to, you can just
You could just spam.
hit them for you can just hit them for like money or for like hearts and whatever, right? So like even then I'm not necessarily as put off by it, and it doesn't, because the world is of course like significantly exponentially smaller, so even then it just doesn't feel quite as empty. I don't know.
Yeah, Breath of the Wild will like gate an area off with like a hard encounter, but you are still allowed to go there. Like I definitely ran through some like hardships and just ignored a lot of enemies and went to the desert first, which seemed to be the opposite of the recommended route, which is why I did it.
Right.
Because I was like, all right, Nintendo, I'm going to take you up on this shit. I'll go where I want. And it was
which
really
is kind
hard.
of the appeal. Which is kind of the appeal of Breath of the Wild anyway, right? Being able to do it in the order that you want to do it and whatever, for the most part.
I think it's pretty well balanced, just like geographically. But you can like run into something that you can't deal with, and then it just kills you.
Right.
Especially if you don't have like a means of escape.
Right.
But you can always teleport. I don't think you need to be out of combat to fast travel, so you can always just kind of bail
with that tablet thing.
Yeah.
So again, right? Like I do want to eventually get to the game. I don't think I'll just own it and just like let it sit there, right? It's such a huge game that like I feel like I will eventually get to it. But like I have been thinking, right? It's not, I don't know. There's a reason why I haven't felt compelled to go back to it. Or like I recently finished Link's Awakening, and that's how I felt about it, right? Like, damn, I want to explore the rest of the dungeons and I want to beat
like the stuff you missed.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas that's just not something quite that I've gotten with Breath of the Wild, despite how pretty it looks, despite how much people talk about it and whatever. So I'm just thinking about why that is, right? Because I don't think it's just, I don't know. Like I'm sure there's reasons behind it.
Yeah, I don't really feel that compelled to play it again now that I've beaten it. Like I don't want to go back and finish all the side quests I didn't like actually listen to.
You didn't already do.
Yeah. I would just like go to Ganon. That sounds fun. I would just like be like, all right, 3 hearts, do the tutorial and go to the tower. Like kind of like not a speed run, but like how they do it in speed runs where you just like have to be really good at the game. Does that seems like more of the type of challenge I'm looking for in a 3D combat system that's not Dark Souls.
Yeah. right. I was just gonna say that, And you can even like challenge yourself, right? You can like, all right, maybe 3 hearts. I'm not ready for 3 hearts yet, so I'm gonna go with like 10 hearts.
Right.
And then if you can't beat them with 10 hearts, you go right. Work down until and I guess that's what's cool about that game, that it allows you to actually, like modify that game to however you want to play it.
Right.
Like if that's what you want to get out of it, then you do have the option to do that. Yeah, no, I don't know. This kind of things that I've been thinking about.
Yeah, I would say give it a try again and do some more shrines and stuff.
Yeah.
You don't have to actually do the shrines if you don't like them. You can just leave it.
So are there any shrines that are like you have to actually beat them for the story, or no?
Besides the tutorial ones to like leave the plateau, I don't think so.
Yeah. Oh, okay, interesting. I don't know that I knew that.
I'm pretty sure.
Right. I mean, I think it makes sense, right? You just have to do like the temples and whatever.
Yeah, you could. I don't think you ever have to like talk to anyone or do any story. It took me a very long time to like to talk to Impa even.
Right. I think that's kind of where I left off, right? Talk to Impa and then go do like the tablet thing where they like validate it for you or whatever they do.
But I had already like beaten 2 of the beasts at that point, and Impa was like, "Oh my god, what have you been up to?"
Yeah, damn. That's like the first thing that I did.
Well, I was like, all right, it's open world. I'm gonna blatantly ignore all input from the game.
Which I think is cool too, right? I respect that, and I think I can see the value and the fun in doing it that way for sure.
Yeah, but then once I got to the story, I was like, I'm already doing it. I don't need someone to go tell me to do it.
Right? Yeah, makes sense. Well, shit, dude. There's something that for the sake of the cohesiveness of this episode, something that I probably should have brought up at the beginning of the episode, but I totally forgot to. No, I just went out, dude, for the first time in like at least 2 months, if not longer. Dude, not gonna lie.
Right.
Yeah. So we're still doing that thing, right? Where like only people with the certain whose ID number is in a certain digit can go out on a certain day, right? It was the day that I was allowed to like transit. And I was like, all right, forget it. I need to get out of the house, right? So I went out and I went to my favorite coffee shop called Cafetano. I'm not sure that I've ever said that on the show. Shout out to them. If they, for whatever reason, ever listen to the show, hit us up with a sponsorship. But damn, dude, I had a cortado, man. It's the first cortado that I've had, I think, since that one cortado that I had with Madeline and Spencer, friends of the show, Madeline and Spencer, back at Thinking Cup when I was in Boston in February, man.
You drink it in your car?
I had, yeah. They're still not. I don't think any restaurants are yet allowed to like host people inside the restaurant.
Right.
Because we had that. I'm not sure that I brought this up on the show before, but they did try to. Oh yeah, there was a whole episode about this smart reopening or whatever.
Reaperture or whatever.
Right. Intelligent reaperture, and that was like a big failure, right?
Right.
So we're going back to like the very first steps of the pandemic and whatever. So like I don't think any restaurants or shops like that are really allowed to like host people indoors. So like I did have to drink it in the car. And the other issue was my idea was to bring it back home and like sit here in my room or in the house and whatever and just drinking. But mom and I did want to stop by this bread shop, like bakery, not bread shop, bakery. So it's called Pan y Mas, and they do have a store at the same sort of shopping center where my favorite coffee shop is, but that store they weren't operating at the moment, right? I'm not sure if it was just closed for the day or if they're not opening that one at all these days. So we had to go to the other one, which was like really far away. So like while my mom went into the bakery to get the breads and whatever, I like sat in the car and sipped out my coffee. So it's not ideal, right? I would have preferred to have it here at the house, but like it was still so good.
Yeah.
I feel like an entirely new man after having that, dude. I don't know if you ever had a cortado. I'm not sure.
No, I've never. I mean, maybe you've probably gotten it, and then I had some of it, but I've never ordered one.
I think I forget exactly. I think it's a 1-to-1 ratio with espresso and milk, and then it just has like a tiny layer of froth milk over at the top, so you can see like and they serve it. Well, of course, I got it to go, right? So they didn't serve it in a glass cup. But they usually, if you're drinking it at the shop, they serve it in a glass cup where you can actually like see the little line of the milk, and I think that's super cool. I don't know, it's a fun drink, and it's really, really good. So I wanted to say that, give a little update on my first excursion out of the goddamn house in years.
Damn, dude.
I needed it, man. I needed it. It felt so refreshing. So the other coffee shop that's really popular here in Honduras is Espresso Americano, which is basically like our version, if you will, of Starbucks, in the sense that like, it's kind of like the cheaper option, and it's like the one that they have. It's the big chain that you find one like at every other like fucking corner, right?
Yeah.
I don't go to that. I go to like a more specialty, if you will, coffee shop, right? Like they grow their own coffee and whatever, they sell their own brand of coffee and stuff. But we drove past so many Espresso Americanos, and they were all out the ass, man. All of them. There was a bit of a line at the coffee shop at Cafetano where I went to. Nowhere near any of the other Espresso Americanos that we drove past. I'm guessing probably because it's cheaper, right? And people like know it. I don't know.
It's crazy how chains, like there's so much demand for chains. People are like, oh, there's Starbucks everywhere, but there's people in all the Starbucks, so they're there for a reason.
And I mean, Cafetano is a bit of a chain too. They've opened like a few stores in the last like year or two, but I still think, I don't know, man. They are my favorite store, right? So even then, I still prefer to go to them as opposed to like fucking Espresso Americano, And like, so I got a cortado, I got my mom a latte, and then I got a little brownie.
Dude, there's a Starbucks at the mall here, and then in the huge mall parking lot, so the Starbucks in the mall is like in the Target. It's like it's partnered with Target,
oh, gotcha.
I guess.
Yeah.
And then there's an independent Starbucks in the parking lot of the mall, and then across the street from that parking lot, there's a Barnes and Noble that also has a Starbucks in it.
Goddamn,
and they're all within like the same 100-foot radius from each other.
It's insane, man. Same shit happens. Like the mall that's like a few minutes away from my house. Let me do a quick recount in my head. So 1, 2, 3, at least 4. The mall here has at least 4 Espresso Americanos. This mall is not large by any means. Like, it's like, you know what I mean? Like what were the malls by Clark that we went to? Solomon Pond and like
Solomon Pond and Blackstone is the outdoor one.
Yeah, like maybe the same size of Solomon Pond, if not smaller. Yeah. And even then, it has fucking 4 Espresso Americanos inside it, man. Inside it.
That's insane.
So it's wild, right? So that, and another thing that was funny for me to notice going out is, so our version of Uber Eats, like the biggest version of Uber Eats that we get here, is called Ugo, right? Like Hugo, but Ugo. And the concept is these dudes who ride bikes, they'll have these like square shaped backpacks. These are like thermal backpacks or whatever to like keep your food warm or cold or whatever. And so their brand is all like purple, right? So the dudes will be wearing like their corresponding purple uniform, and the bags will be their backpack things would be purple too, and they'll be riding bikes, right? Like motorbikes.
Yeah.
And that's how they deliver food. And so we drove past the Denny's, and there were so many goddamn Ubers like parked outside Denny's, man. Like so many people must be ordering food off of Denny's through Uber, and I don't know. I thought it was really funny to like look at to see that, right? There's so many, dude. They kind of look like flies over like food that's been left outside and whatever. That's kind of the vibe that I got.
My neighbors keep getting pancakes from one of the restaurants around here. It's not like a Denny's, but like I keep seeing the truck come by.
It's the actual restaurant who's like delivering it.
I guess
like the actual restaurant.
It must be, yeah.
Do you have any kind of? I don't know how big it is, the town or city where you live in, but like, do you get like Uber Eats and all those kind of like
we used to not get Uber, and then we started getting Uber. Okay. And we do have some delivery service because I've definitely had it before, but I don't remember which one it is. Yeah, there's something. There's something there. Yeah, it might be Uber Eats.
So that, I don't think I noticed anything else in particular that caught my attention after not leaving the house for months. Right. Everything kind of looked the same. There's been some construction that's, like seen some progress, but other than that, like the city still feels definitely not nearly as transited as it otherwise would be, under regular non-pandemic circumstances. But it definitely did feel very transited, more transited than I expected it.
I don't know what you mean by transited.
Transited as in like traffic.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, trafficked.
Okay, right. That's probably a better word. I'm thinking about the Spanish word. Yeah, transitado is what you would say in Spanish. But I guess I did see a lot more traffic than I expected.
There's still a lot of people out around here. People going to restaurants and whatnot.
Yeah, a lot of drive-thrus were out the ass. Cinnabon was out the ass.
Yeah.
McDonald's wasn't out the ass, but I did see a couple of like cars waiting in line and stuff for the drive-thrus and stuff. So I don't know. It's interesting too, right? Like it's as like sad and whatever this situation is, it is kind of also kind of like interesting.
God damn.
Seeing how people like adapt and whatever, how the city changes and everything.
Yeah, I think there's gonna be a lot of things closed, like
permanently. You mean?
Yeah, when the dust settles and people start reopening, I don't think everything's gonna reopen.
Yeah,
just because of financial strain.
Right. Yeah, man. Wait, hold on, dude. I think there's something else in the bag where they served my my brownie. What the fuck is this? Oh shit, dude! You know what it is?
Wait.
It's the hot take alert, dog.
Hot take alert.
These kept getting dumber and dumber. But
no,
whatever.
That's pretty good.
Cool. Okay, so dude, books, right? We've all read them. We've all owned some, right?
It's a hot take.
No, okay. So where I'm going with this is earlier this week, I saw a dude, whatever, right? Twitter, who gives a shit about anything anyone ever says on Twitter, right? But it's also fun to like engage in like debates or whatever you want to call it with people on Twitter. So I saw this account called Opiniones, right? That's what the account is called, Opiniones, whatever. Honduran person. And I saw a tweet from them. Someone liked it or commented on it or whatever. I don't follow these people. And what they commented, the original tweet was something about like, I've recently discovered how much better hardcovers are as opposed to soft covers or paperbacks, I guess is the actual word in there.
Yeah.
As opposed to paperbacks. And like they went all out to say that, yeah, hardcovers are much better. And then there was this other dude commenting on that, saying some shit like, yeah, dude, they're so much better, right? Like I even go out of my way to like, if I read a paperback that I really like, I will go out of my way to purchase a new hardcover copy of that book and whatever. Whatever, right? It's fine. But it started to rub me the wrong way because they started getting all like weird pseudo poetic about it, right? Because like the other dude eventually was like, because the original poster was like, oh, that actually sounds like a good idea or whatever. And then the dude who originally commented said something like, be careful if you start doing that because it could get super addictive and what, you know what I mean? Like they're getting that like sort of like virtuous signaling over how cool they are because the fact that they read.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So whatever, right? I just commented saying something like, I'll always encourage people to like actually own their books and like, all right, sorry, there's a lot of my dad's on the phone outside and it's kind of loud. I don't know if that it's coming through. All right, I'm going to close my door real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay,
right, cool.
Dude. Owen sent this picture to the WhatsApp group chat. And he says, dude. My dad dropped the last pizza for tonight. And it's just Owen's dad holding like a pizza, not a stone, whatever you scoop it with, the pizza tray with just like an empty crust. And then outside the grass is just like covered in filling, and his dad is just looks really sad.
God damn, how does that even happen, man?
It probably
Yeah,
just
it's
slipped.
excellent. This is for like a meme, like an Instagram meme page kind of photo, you know?
Yeah, it's a good
It's
image.
really good. It's really
Shout
good.
out to Owen's dad.
Yeah, hell yeah. We hope you find it in you to overcome this tough time.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, no, cool. So what I was saying is like I commented back saying like, nah, dude, like I'm all about paperbacks because you know they're more malleable to like adjust them to however you feel most comfortable holding
Right.
it. Not only that, but they're also lighter and you usually take up a lot less space, like in your backpacks and your whatever, right? And so like the dude commented back saying like, I think that's fair, but I also do this other dude's idea about buying a hardcover of a paperback you really like because presentation on a because the presentation of a like bookshelf is also impressive or spectacular. That's kind of like the wording that he used, and that's what kind of rubs me the wrong way, man. When you start getting all like pseudo poetic about like the books that you own and that the fact that you read and whatever, that's what really rubs me the wrong way. You know what I mean? Like I own my books and I'll carry them around with me and whatever. Like I'll just throw them in my book bags, fold the corners of the pages that I like the best, right? So I can like find them easily and I'll like annotate them. I'll underline shit and write my own notes and whatever. Because I do think that doing that has like enriched my reading experience since I started doing this like 10 years ago. Right. However, if you do choose to not do that because you get all the fulfillment that you're looking to get out of a book by just reading it from cover to cover without, like touching the book or just, like annotating it or anything, then like I can also 100% understand that. Right. And so like I told that to this guy, right? I'm like, yo, like this is how I treat my books because it just made it a lot more enriching. And then the dude went off to say some bullshit. Then this is what really just like pissed me the fuck off, right? He said some shit like, yeah, you're right. I think it's a matter of taste, right? Like I'll sometimes underline my books and whatever, but folding the pages to me is a sin. That's what he said with those words, man. And that's the shit that I just can't take, right? Because dude, the reason I do this is because for the longest time I've actually had to read books to study them.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to say that in the sense of like I read better than you. That's not what I mean to say. It's just that like I have as much fun doing that for books that I'm reading for class as I do for books that I'm reading for pleasure, right? It's literally legitimately fun for me to like annotate and like underline and write notes on the books that I read for pleasure too. You know what I mean? I get so much more out of my own reading experience by doing that. To have someone tell me that doing that to them is a sin, like fuck that bullshit, dude. Like who the fuck do you think you are? And I guess my hot take is this, right? Like if you're going to be like, if the physical condition, this like sort of like pristine, immaculate physical condition of a book adds so much more to your experience when you're reading, like are you actually enjoying the reading, or are you actually enjoying how good you look with that pristine book in your hands? You know what I mean?
I mean, if you don't want it to get dirty, you should just buy it and not read it.
That's like right, exactly, dude. Like books, and I was having a conversation with my friend. Shout out to my friend Liza. She was saying something like books and literature itself is meant to like have people engage with it. And if you're just gonna take literature for what it is and just like not engage with it at all, not interact with it, just and not like engage with it in any sort of way, then why are you even reading? You know what I mean? Like that's not like the point at all. Not only that, but also books talk about a lot of fucked up shit. You know what I mean? Like my favorite book of all time is Of Mice and Men. And like a lot of awful shit happens in that book. Right? Like people are unfaithful, people are racist, people are violent. So like I understand that those themes are important and writing about those themes is important to bring those themes to the conversation so people can talk about them and whatever. But like these books are fucked up, right? Like the stories that they're telling are fucked up. So why would you hold a book that contains these fucked up, however important, however fun they are to read and whatever? Why would you hold this physical object that holds these fucked up stories to this sort of like idealized, pure, immaculate, fucking sacred status?
Well, I don't think it has anything to do with the content.
You don't think so? Okay,
no. Okay, maybe with like the Bible or whatever, because it's like
right,
symbol. But I would say generally no. You shouldn't base like the physical treatment of the book on the content at all, unless you're like this book sucks, let's burn it. I guess.
Right, exactly. Well, yeah, but you know what I mean, like. And so that's what pisses me off, right? Like people telling me that what I have, the way that I treat my books is a sin, right?
Right.
Like who are you? You know what I mean? Like who are you to say that shit to me? You know what I mean? Like that's how I get the most. So again, if it is your choice to like be delicate with your books and like keep them in a presentable shape or whatever, that's fine. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I'm not gonna tell people, dude, write on your book. No, I will always encourage that you do because it's made my own reading experience so much better. So like I would imagine there's a chance that it might make it better for you too. But like I don't think you're dumb for not doing it, right? I don't think you're a sinner for not doing that. You know what I
Right.
mean? So when someone comes and tells me shit like that, that's when I get like really pissed off, right? Because it just sounds like fake fucking virtual signaling. You know what I mean? Like who are you trying to? I don't know. Like what are you trying to look like? You know what I mean? Telling me
Right.
that it's a sin to like fold the pages that I like. You know what I mean? So that I can like find them easier, whatever.
Well, I think the problem is that this person is talking about collecting books, but they're saying that they like reading books, and they're completely different things.
Right. I can understand if you're like collecting. That's
Yeah.
one thing,
It's
right?
like if you collect comics and you have one that you like don't open because it's so valuable,
Right.
that's fine, and you can be free to enjoy doing that, but it's not the same activity as reading comics. It's just it may be related because you love it so much, but they're
Right.
not the same hobby, and you have to be able
Right.
to separate like that book. If you're not touching it, is not for reading. It's for show or like for
Right.
your
And that
collection.
you bring another important point because what this dude actually said, I'm looking at the tweet right now, is that they buy the hardcover for a subsequent second read. Right.
Right.
So like you're talking about collecting and keeping them pristine, and then you're also talking about reading them. There and yeah, I think what you're bringing up is very, very, very important too, right? They're not the same thing. Again, I can understand if you're keeping your books in good condition because you're collecting them, that's one thing. But if you're going to be reading them, that's a whole other issue. And if you're going to be reading them, then don't come to me saying that like folding them the pages is a sin to you. You know what I mean?
Right.
If you're not like if you're collecting, that's one thing. But if you're reading them, then don't fucking tell me that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. So I think I brought up all the points that I wanted on this topic. I don't know if you have anything to add to this, man.
I think if you have books that you don't read, you should give them to someone else, honestly,
Right.
or
Yeah.
just give them to the library.
Yeah. How do you handle your books? Like the ones that you like own? I understand that library books you have to like not fuck up, right? Not only because they belong to the library, but also so that other people can have access to them as well. You know,
Yeah.
I get that. But like, what about books that you own?
I mean, I'm looking behind me. I have a lot of just like school books, a lot of textbooks, computer
Yeah.
science stuff, like
Right.
some philosophy and English stuff, and then like a few stories that I've just like been given as gifts over
Right.
over like years and stuff. For that, I bought like the Silmarillion and stuff, but I don't keep a lot of books on hand. The only
Gotcha.
closest thing to collecting books, I guess, is that I'm trying to read all the books in the Discworld series, which is like a very long series of novels that has so many different print editions. And I just think it's interesting that they're both like hard to find, and all of them
Right.
are generally unique. So
Right.
so I have like all these weirdly oddly shaped books next to each other, and they don't even look like from the same decade, let alone the
Oh
same
shit.
series. You know what I mean?
Interesting. Yep.
Because
Interesting.
they just keep getting re-released. But even if I didn't get East of Eden from the library, I feel like after I read it, I got it. Like I got what I wanted to get out of it, and
Yeah.
I could like investigate the way that is done, like the way
Right.
it manifests in the story more. But I honestly felt like it would be like kind of missing the point for me, at least, to keep that book and not let someone else read it. Like
Right.
it felt more in step with the themes to pass it on
Give
to
it back.
staff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and that's another thing, dude. I don't really mind. Like if you're actually gonna like fucking read the book, I don't mind like borrowing out my books at all, dude. In
Mhm.
fact, I think I borrowed out my copy of Android's Dream of Electric Sheep a long time ago, and I don't think the person I borrowed it out to has ever read it. But like,
Right.
yeah, but yeah, that's the thing, and there's actually like another point that some people have, because this is something that I've talked about with a lot of people. Some people have brought up the point that like like if you're reading a book from someone who's like annotated it and whatever. So the argument that they give me is like you won't be able to put in your own thought because be conflicted by reading the notes that this other person wrote into their books. And I'm like, no, dude, like we're human beings. We're capable of our own rational thought, right?
Right.
I think it's interesting. I in fact think it's a lot more interesting to see, for example, if you were to let me borrow a book that you own, that you like wrote your own notes
Yeah.
in, I would think it's super interesting to see what you think and to like then compare how I'm perceiving the story and how I am analyzing it, right? I don't think seeing your notes would make me think, oh, Matthew thought this, so like that's just how it is, I guess. You know what I mean? No,
Yeah,
dude,
I mean that's the same as just reading anything. It's just more
Right.
text in the book.
Yeah, dude, you know what I mean? So like again, if you don't want to write in their books, I think that's fine. Just I don't think that's a valid argument for not writing in your book. You know what I mean?
I mean, I think
But,
it's
like,
fine to write in your own book, but I think if someone wanted to read the book without some writing in it, I think that's also fair.
Right. Exactly. And I do get that, right? I just mean that in the sense that like the way that they worded it to me, right? Just like, but that's gonna interrupt how you understand the book. No, I don't think that's a valid argument because you are capable of your own rational thoughts, right?
This conversation is getting like dangerously close to the idea of authorial intent and like what is text, and we are at
Right.
15 minutes, so we should probably
No.
steer away from that.
You're right. It's just I don't know. Just that one tweet from that dude that said that it's a sin to fold the pages. That kind of fucking language just irritates me, right? Because
Well, can you synthesize this like discussion into a one sentence hot take?
I don't think that people should be pseudo poetic about the physical conditions of their books because someone like me, I genuinely handle the way that I handle my books, like writing in them and whatever, because it makes my reading experience so much richer.
Right.
So like I understand if you like to keep your books in a certain condition, I understand that, but don't tell me that the way that I read my books is wrong. Right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. I think that's
I don't have a hot take.
Cool. Do you have anything else you want to add to today's episode?
I watched half of a movie today, but it will remain unnamed because Sean Penn is in it.
Ah, shit, dude.
Maybe when I finished it, we can broach the topic, but
it's not I Am Sam, is it?
No, it's old.
Okay. You can tell me off the air. Maybe I can give it a watch and we can talk about it.
Well, I'll finish it first, see if it's actually good.
Oh, okay. Cool. How have you felt about Sean Penn's performances so far? You want to talk about that yet?
It's pretty average in this film.
Okay.
The premise is pretty cool and the acting is fine.
Cool. Well, shit, dude. I don't know. What have we learned?
Let's see. I learned about American Starbucks. Was it Cafe Americano? Is that it?
Espresso Americano.
Espresso Americano. Yeah. I didn't know. I don't know. I just kind of assumed it would be Starbucks in other countries. Like I know you probably have Starbucks as well.
No, we actually don't.
Oh, you don't?
Yeah, and I'm sure Espresso Americano is so big that they're preventing from that to happen. You know what I mean?
Right. Interesting.
Yeah. I'm not sure, but I know that's not. We haven't had an actual Starbucks here yet.
I don't know. I guess I'm like partly just cynical and used to like corporations existing like everywhere in the world is the same with different weather.
Right.
It's kind of.
I mean, it's a fair assumption. We get McDonald's. Like,
yeah.
And I know that there are other countries in the world that do have Starbucks, right?
Yeah. I've been playing The Outer Worlds, which is like it's very much about capitalism and
and I want to play that, man.
Corporations and stuff. It's really good. If you like New Vegas, it's just New Vegas, but in space with better combat.
I've never played it Fallout, but like I'm just the story of it all just seems pretty interesting to me.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's the kind of game that I would want to own on my Switch, but I've heard it just looks like garbo.
Yeah, apparently it's not very quality of experience on the Switch.
Yeah, like I own The Witcher on the Switch, and that looks pretty good, right? Like it doesn't. I don't know. Like I'm sure I know it looks better on consoles, but like it doesn't look that much better for me to like think it was a mistake to buy it on the Switch. If that makes sense, you know. I guess I learned about the fact that it's kind of the same shit that I learned last week. I learned the layer that like. He was actually in prison while the polling was going on. So like people.
But also the other dude like organized this.
Yeah, right.
This.
Right. I learned that the fact that the other dude orchestrated the whole bullshit. Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting. And like we are trying to get Shy Boy Roy into the show again.
Tune in next week when we actually remember to do this joke.
Oh right.
Shout out to Owen's dad.
Is there anything you want to say to Owen?
I think you and Owen have had enough beef recently over the stupid coffee cake thing, and
yeah, right. That fucker.
I hope we get this pizza.
Yeah. Sounds good. All right, man. Well, I think we don't have anything else. Thank you for your time, dude. This has been a good fucking time.
Yeah, of course. It's refreshing to talk about Breath of the Wild. I forgot that even existed.
right. Well, shit, dude. All right. Peace out, man.
Yeah, I'll see you later.